how you doing? This is Gina Versa. We're coming in from Park City, Utah, according to our virtual backgrounds. We have a special episode today. This is our first interview of the year. I'm joined, as always, by my friend Diego.
Hello. Hey, Gene. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here today. It's a special one.
Yeah, and we have some special guests. We met them through our good friend Terrence James, who's always guesting. We have Julian Doan, director of the short film that was at Sundance called Raspberry, and the producer and one of the actors in the film, Raymond Lee. How you guys doing? Thanks for joining us.
Doing good. You've said special so many times so far. We feel extra special to be here.
Yeah.
So this will be titled a very special Sundance wrap up.
Yeah. It's like a holiday special.
There you go.
we love our holiday specials.
Yeah, no, we're good, and thanks for having us. And Terrence is like, I don't know if you guys know, but Terrence did the theme song for a web series that I did after college that Ray was also in, and
Really?
Called Wall Street Manor.
Oh,
and yeah, and Terrence had never seen the intro he even did the score for. We were just like, hey, we wanted an intro theme, and he like sent the first thing he sent was the one we used. It was just perfect right off the bat.
Nice. Yeah, I love his he has like a chiptune band. What it's called?
Love him.
Yeah, he has
You're
some,
between you and me. Yeah, no, it's excellent.
He has some good music. But yeah, no, guys, we saw the your short film that you sent us, and congratulations again. For it screened at Sundance this year, virtually, and yeah, we're just gonna, I guess, spoilers. We'll talk just about the film and kind of your experiences making it, and just everything about it, just to highlight it. So cool. So guys, just kind of like first off the bat, how are you doing during COVID? Because this is unprecedented time, and then we always just want to see how everyone's doing on the podcast.
well, I appreciate you for checking in. It's just weird, but it's something that I've grown accustomed to, and I think the thing I like the least is just the lack of human interaction, among other things, but just to be physically in the room with other people. It's just I just miss that energy. I miss that exchange of biochemical whatever happens between people. And then everything else just kind of emanates out of that. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a recluse anyways, so it wasn't a huge adjustment for me. And yeah.
I feel like it's been like so wildly up and down as it has for all of us. I'm lucky that I sort of work in post-production and I get to keep working, but I don't know. Emotionally, it's been obviously hard, like all the things Ray said. I think, I certainly miss, one of the biggest things I miss is going to the movie theater. And I think like we're having to find new ways to like enjoy, I started kind of doing this little like unofficial movie club thing with a few friends, where every week or every couple of weeks we take turns choosing a film and all watching it and just talking about it. Cause I just miss like chatting with, with friends about films and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm trying to keep some of that alive. It's just for like my own emotional sanity.
No, I totally get that. Yeah, we've discussed a couple times on the podcast, like we're probably going to start like a movie club because this is probably going to continue for a little while. And, it's just fun to talk about movies with friends and people on the internet most of the time. But speaking of internet, so Sundance was only online. Gene and I talked about it. This is our first Sundance, so it was like, we don't have a different like approach to how to talk about it. But for you two, was this your first Sundance? And if not, what was the experience like online only this time?
It was mine. So my experience is probably very similar to yours. I was obviously very enthused to hear the news that we got accepted. And then immediately following that feeling was like, oh, but it's all online. How are they going to do that? Are we going to get enough people to watch it? Just the kind of, the bittersweet feeling of being at Sundance. But yeah, my experience is probably very similar to yours, where I got to watch probably more things from what I hear, more things because it was online, as opposed to being there physically. And I really appreciated that aspect. And for the most part, there were some kinks like online. I think it was just a little hard to that whole debacle with the 4 hour time frame that was given with the short stuff. That was a little confusing for a lot of people, and it required a lot of troubleshooting and back and forth. But aside from that, I really enjoyed it because I did get to enjoy it from the comforts of my own home too.
Yeah. I've been to Sundance a couple times, once with a project that I didn't, write and direct myself as a crew member. And then I went last year to support Brianna, our producers. She costume designed the film last year, so I went to support that. But this was like the first year as like a writer director with our own project, so obviously it was enormously exciting to get in, to get accepted and to be invited to play this year. And it was also, like Ray said, just like, oh man, we got in on like the year when like we don't get to have like a palpable audience response. Like, when we submitted, it was like September, and we're like, okay, maybe by January this will all turn around and we'll get to go to Park City. And like the winter became the worst we'd ever freaking faced with COVID. So it was a little depressing, but I think generally they've done a pretty decent job of creating like a lot of, it's Sundance, so they have a huge following, and like they are able to get like a lot of viewers' attentions and a lot of buzz, even though they're an online festival. Mm-hmm. And I think we still got like a really great audience response, just in a different way, in a way that we're probably all used to communicating anyway, which is like online, Instagram, Twitter. Letterboxd is a huge game changer. Letterboxd is like a really good way for like audiences to like communicate with each other, and like that part of it that we missed, we really wanted. I think we kind of still got it. So yeah, pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, in the waiting rooms for like a bunch of the screenings, I saw people doing like, follow me on Instagram, here's my Letterboxd, here's my Twitter. And so that was like kind of fun, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I didn't like participate in that too much, but like I thought that was cool. People like getting the opportunity to connect in a way they hadn't before,
That's cool. Yeah, no, I didn't do any of the waiting rooms I don't know. There was not, I guess I started movies like after the window started. So I guess I didn't see the waiting room, but that was part of the fun of going in person, is that I pretty much started just waitlist, like getting in line for films, because the tickets would sell out. And then generally it was just easier to get in line. And like, you just start meeting people and just chatting with them,
Yeah, the interactivity for the festival, like compared to, other like kind of virtual events that I went to like last year, say like Comic-Con at home, or some other festivals, like it was like the interactivity was like so well done. We were comparing it to like Ready Player One. It kind of felt like that. Yeah, just kind of like online,
it was so well done to the point where when you're hanging out in those communal spaces, the awkwardness of starting conversations and like entering this chat and just kind of being a voyeur too in another person's conversation, that was all there. Like getting to know people, it's just, that's how great the job they did.
Yeah, you just get to butt into a random conversation, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, now I get to derail what you were talking about. Look at me.
And then your little avatar's like, who is this person? Face me so I can look at you.
They really captured the stiff body language we all have in meeting each other at bars.
Except you had the Oculus, Julian, so your arms were like you were partying with your guy.
Yeah, if you had the VR headset, I don't know if you guys went to the VR spaces, but if you had the headset, the Oculus, you could actually move like your hands. Yeah, so it was pretty cool. You could like dance and like move
that's
around.
awesome.
Very easy to find him. He was the most expressive person in the room.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not generally like that.
Yeah.
You mean you don't walk around like this?
I don't do. Yeah. If we were actually at a bar in Park City,
Yeah.
I'd probably like be like the avatars, just like arms down, being like, "Hey guys, I'm a filmmaker."
Oh, well, speaking of making films, how did the idea for Raspberry come about?
Well, most of that script is from like, you know, sort of real events of me losing my dad and watching him die, like, you know, in his room one morning. So that's kind of like the bulk of it. So that's where I think, you know, all the drama comes in. But like the raspberry thing really came from Brianna and I were just joking around one day, and I was like trying to blow a raspberry on her stomach, and she was trying to play dead. And we were, you know, it's just one of those silly what ifs. Like, what if you were going to do this to like a dead person in like a, you know, a coffin or someone who just died? And we thought it was a silly imagery, but then I wrote it into this. I combined it with this short that, you know, I was writing about the awkwardness of watching my dad die. And yeah, it sort of ended up working.
I think this is a great short film, and I need to say this because I lost my father very recently, like last month, and that obviously is a very difficult thing to go through. And so when I saw this short film, immediately my brain started rejecting it because I was like, I just don't want to be in this space. But I thought you captured like just the perfect quality of like weird emotions that go on, because it's obviously very sad and it's hard to like decipher, but then it sometimes weird stuff happens and it's like, this is almost like kind of dumb, but it's hilarious and necessary. Like it's a hard feeling to capture, and you just totally did, and I was very moved by it. So thank you for that, because I really think this is a fantastic short film. But Gene, go ahead. I think you had a question too.
Oh no, I was just saying the you know, the scene with like when he blows the raspberry, like that was just you know, like so well done, like all the like emotions that it gets released, because like that character, you're just like watching him kind of like, you know, the brother, like what, you know, what is he gonna do? And then, you know, the way like people handle grief is like differently. You know, some people have like different ways of like handling it. Like yeah, I thought that was just like really brilliant, just capturing that.
Yeah, and I also want to say that Raymond, you have like this perfect stoic awkward face for the first half of the short, and then after you do the titular raspberry, you just like you broke down so like well, and it was like messy and like not pretty, but like it was so perfect for the scene. Like, how did you guys get to that mindset on set when creating it? Like, I know, Julian, you were talking about the inspiration for it. It was very personal, but like on the set, how do you kind of control that environment?
First off, I resent that you called my crying face ugly. I thought it was a very attractive crying face. And that's just
I apologize.
I can't cry any prettier. Yeah, I you know, it was all on the page. It was meant to be dealt with that sort of gravity. It was, you know, it's such a high pressure situation for anybody, right? If it's the last thing you get to say to this person, and clearly my character was not dealing with it in the same way that everyone else in the family was. We wanted to establish that my character had a very specific relationship with his father. And we wanted to also show that the idea that what happens when words fail you. And the challenge for me as an actor was to be able to emote all of that, all while not speaking. And it was just crafted in a way for this all to happen organically, and it was just me responding as my character to what was around me. But yeah, I mean, we also had Julian's very keen eye on what was too much and what was giving away too much, or, you know, is this too comical? Is this too serious? Like, how do we create this sort of mystery behind this character and try to encapsulate all the lives that he's lived into just this quick few minutes before he does the deed? So it was important that every aspect, right down to his hair and his costume choices and the way he sits and the way he chooses to stand up, was all very specific.
Yeah. You know, I wasn't, this was a little bit of like new territory for me in terms of like, you know, it was super, obviously like the raspberry is very funny. It's very broadly funny, but I think the thing is like that a raspberry is like, you know, a fart noise is so like the comedy of that just feels so built into us, like that it's just automatically quite humorous. And even if you find that kind of stuff juvenile, you still sort of think it's silly, right? So I think you can like lean on the fact that like it is automatically funny and just play everything very serious, right? So that was like one element of trying to like capture that tone and try to make it work the way it did. And then I actually did like, you know, and sitting down with the first AD and trying to like and even talking to the DP and then trying to schedule our shoot. I did like ask Ray's opinion on like because you know, like obviously the other actors all do fantastic work, but like I think Ray had to build to this moment, and I was just curious like what's the best environment for you to do this. You know, are we going to shoot all the bedroom stuff first, and then do we move into the living room? Like, how are we going to schedule our day? And he did tell me that like he wanted to try to save it for later in the day so that we could like build up emotionally to that moment, which is also challenging because you know, lighting, stuff like that. Like we knew by the end of the day that we would have like, you know, almost like no daylight left, so we had to like kind of block out our schedule in time where it just hit that perfect moment, like, you know, like 5 to 6 p.m. time we had to like be shooting the raspberry part. So but we did end up like kind of working the schedule around that so that he had like a runway to kind of get there.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean it came out so well. I guess that leads to the other question. Did you guys like film this pre or during COVID? Can you talk a little bit about the filming like production and process of the short?
I can only imagine what it would be like if we filmed that during COVID and Ray had to put his mouth on a stranger multiple times. Like, what would the protocol even be for that?
Yeah,
It was just so wet. It would not have been okay with anybody.
there'd be a lot of you know, all those graphics they show of all the like spit bubbles like coming out of the mask and stuff. It's like, this is like beyond the pale.
yeah. The COVID officer would have been like just going nuts that
Oh,
day.
just shitting bricks.
For sure.
Just
No,
sweet
I mean,
bullets.
miraculously, we shot it like literally the week before lockdown, right, Julian?
We shot it like about 4 days before. You know, I was sent home from we shot it on Sunday, March 8th, and I was sent home from my job on like Thursday.
Crazy.
So
Wow.
It was very fast. And I don't know, weirdly, you know, you guys remember the week of COVID, everything kind of spiraled so quickly. It was literally like within less than 24 hours, things would escalate exponentially. So from in the 4 days before COVID lockdown and then, you know, us shooting on that Sunday, I personally don't remember feeling so worried about it. I mean, obviously we were hearing news about COVID, but I mean, Ray and I had a phone conversation the next day. I don't think we ever mentioned COVID. We were just like talking about the shoot. Felt really good about what we had shot, and we were excited about audiences experiencing this. I wasn't even thinking at all like,
yeah,
the world we'd live in now.
I don't even think there was just that many cases even in California. Like it was still kind of approaching. So we were like,
Right.
well, maybe, because also it's just, we've never faced anything like it. We just didn't know the timeline of events. So, and I didn't even think it would get to us in the way that it did. So yeah, it was in the air. We knew people had it somewhere in Portland or something, but we just didn't think it would be impeding on our stuff at all.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's, you know, we shot it a couple days before, thank God.
So lucky.
Yeah. No, that's crazy because yeah, it was like, that was such a tight window before. Yeah, that whole week everything like shut down, like just this felt like a disaster movie or something. Like Day
Totally.
After Tomorrow.
Yeah. Super grim.
Yeah, but it ended up giving. I had a lot of time to just focus on editing it.
Yeah.
Probably too much time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it came together pretty well. Maybe it was all the time you needed, which is maybe that's a morbid way of looking at things. I don't know. Maybe I'll forget that.
No, I mean, well, first of all, I did want to give my condolences to your, your dad, about your dad.
Thank you.
Really sorry to hear that. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I feel like COVID's done a lot of like, it's caused us to sort of like reorient our kind of like North Star a little bit. And I think given all the time to like, edit this 7-minute short film, this 3-page script, like, but essentially I spent like months just kind of tweaking it. I think it gave us time to like step away from it and to like look at it again. The film was done. We had a version of it like a couple weeks after we were done, but I sort of sat on it and then, went and just like, lived our lives a little bit. And I think even as far as in June, I was still like going back in and then sending Ray a couple tweaks. Him and Brianna and Turner, the producers, were mostly us four watching it, seeing like, there's this moment with the pamphlet. Like, how do we kind of make this moment a little bit more salient and kind of stand out a bit more? I feel like it kind of like gave us more time to just get the film to like a really, really good place. And I prefer, I kind of miss working that way.
I see. Yeah. Real to go take a step back from the short film. When you two started in this creative space, is this something you always saw like yourselves doing? Is this what like, and you were a kid, middle school, like, no, I'm going to be a filmmaker. I'm going to be an actor and producer. This is what I'm going to do for as long as I want to, or was there something else in the cards?
We're going back, Ray.
Oh, we're going back.
Taking us back.
Yeah. Might just start bawling for no reason. I think it was in my like early 20s when I decided I was in community college and I decided I wanted to pursue acting because I took acting as an elective course and I knew I always had some sort of a propensity to act out and I liked that sort of weird attention, but I just didn't know that I could make a living or that it was a viable way of living. But I was like, what? I have nothing else really going for me except I work at Sport Chalet and I wax ski and snowboards all day. And I might as well pursue something I kind of think I might be good at. And I transferred to Cal State Long Beach, which is where Julian went as well. And I got to explore my creative freaky side. And then I call it my artistic awakening, what I had there, because I got to really separate myself from the life that I had before and just be whatever I wanted to be from semester to semester. And it was just really cool learning. It's the first time I ever like started caring about history or just psychology and people and stories. And it was at Long Beach when I first saw Julian Short, Laundry Day, because a couple of my friends were in the theater program who was also cast in his short. And I watched it and I just thought it was so cool. It was at a time when like, Spike Jonze and Michel Gondry and Wes Anderson was like really prevalent. And it just kind of had the kind of quirk and the filmmaking style that I was really into, and the characters. I saw my friends as characters in a movie, and they just seemed like movie stars to me at the time. And I was like, oh yeah, I mean, of course I'm going to continue to pursue theater, but I really want to do film and television too. And it was always one of my dreams too. Like the guys from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like they got to create a career together and a show together. So it was always inspiring to me to hear stories like that, like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and stuff like that. And so it was always in the back of my mind to want to continue to collaborate with my friends and want the best for everybody so we can continue to work at a high level. But all the while, I still pursued my career in television and film and made my way through commercial acting and, you know, co-stars, guest stars. And now I'm at a place where I get to be a series regular on shows and do movies here and there. So it's really cool. I mean, at the end of the day, I'd love to just work on projects that I love to work on with the people that I love. And it felt like Raspberry in a lot of ways was a real full circle moment where I got to do all of that.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Ray, I kind of, it's like one of those times in my life where I don't remember like when the first time we met was, you know what I mean? Like it sort of kind of blends. And I'm trying to remember like what the first thing I saw you in was. Like, I don't know if it was like a play or if it was a film. Like, what was the first film project you were in?
It was this porn on YouPorn called...
That must have been it.
I Like It All the Way.
And I was like, I think he'd be great for...
I think he'd be great for Raspberry.
Hey, in 13 years, I'm going to do a short film. I think you'd be great for it.
Man, you're clever.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it was like 12, 13 years ago.
I can't either, man.
Yeah. What was it though? What was the first thing you were in? Film?
I don't know. I don't know what the first TV thing I was in or first commercial.
Anything. First film, first TV. Yeah. Do you remember?
Are you sure you might have not seen me like in a play at Long Beach?
I probably saw you in a play. I'm just curious if you remember what like your first film project was.
I know my very first paid television job was a one-liner on How I Met Your Mother.
I remember that.
Oh, and then after that, it was It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It was like dream come true. It was two of the shows that I really wanted to be on. But I had done like 4 or 5 commercials that made some money. But yeah, on camera stuff, that was probably
okay.
You might have seen me.
Yeah. Well, like yeah, my sort of start into this business, this industry, what have you. I mean, you know, in high school, I think I started, you know, we all grew up in the Jackass era, you know, a lot of like DIY. I was a big skater in high school, so we always had the what was it, like the DVX 200 or whatever that camera was with the handle on the top. You could hold it low with a fisheye, film your friends skating. So like we were always making like skate videos and Jackass style videos in high school. So I think, and cutting it on like Windows Movie Maker. So like that's where I think I first got like kind of a bug for doing that kind of stuff. And like, you know, in like English class, we had to like film, they asked us to like film some scenes. So, you know, The Matrix, I think, was like the movie that made me want to start working in, I didn't know what capacity. I just knew I wanted to make something impossible possible, right? Like the magic of that. So like we shot this fight scene for like Romeo and Juliet or something for English class in like an empty pool that was near our house, and we would do that thing where we like ran on the sides of the walls, just trying to mimic that scene where Trinity's like running around on the walls in The Matrix. So that's probably where it started. And then I went to Cal State Long Beach, and I think I entered as like a graphic design major, and they were telling me that like because it was harder for kids to get into that program. Like it ended up taking some kids like 6 to 7 years to finish that a degree in graphic design. So I was like, oh, how long does a film program take? And they're like, no, it takes about 4. And I was like, perfect. I don't want to be in college for more than 4 years. Like I'll do that. Which seems to have panned out okay. You know, made just, I don't think I knew what I wanted to do. I think everyone like is in college wants to be a director. Maybe not fully even realizing like what that means. You just like want to make films. But yeah, we like made films in college, and we worked in every capacity, like sound, editing, producing, you know, editing, camera, grip, like directing. Like you literally kind of did it all at our school. Yeah, I don't know. And 13 years later, I'm still trying to do it.
Nice.
14 years later, even. However long, God, it just feels so long. But I think it's still an exploration for me. You know, I do like, I really like the post process. I think that gives me a lot of like the creative fulfillment of directing while having like more consistent work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta pay the bills.
Yeah, and like you get to maybe have like a wider breadth of work because you're working on so many other people's stories, and you get to like pick up and learn from them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, no, it's cool that you guys have known each other for so long. It's kind of, like Sam Raimi and like Bruce Campbell, just like meeting in like high school, and I just think, like, taking taking the journey like together, like like towards a goal, like filmmaking, because like me and Diego, we've known each other since like high school, and we've been doing the
Yeah.
podcast for a while, and it's always just great to have like a Sam to a Frodo, or Frodo to a Sam.
We are Sam and Frodo.
Yeah.
I'll take Frodo. To me, that's one of the favorite things. One of the favorite things about this career, this industry is, I think this is our 8th project together or something like that, right, Julian? It's like, to be able to check in periodically to work on something, and then to be impressed by what we've learned over the past year or so that we haven't worked with each other, and how our work has grown individually and collectively, and how our circles of friends have grown too. So, this was a project that, Julian directed, produced, did everything. So you show up on set and you see that these are his contemporaries, and these are the people that he's chosen to trust with every aspect of filmmaking. And it's just really cool, because now that our networks have expanded, we get to pull in higher quality people, higher quality work. And I can only assume that this is how you continue to make better stuff. So it's just very exciting that we can continue to do this and have fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Brianna like also brought in like so many, like people to this project. And then, we even pulled, our, like, there's even some people I hadn't worked with in a while. Like our script supervisor is someone who went to Long Beach too. And it was kind of cool to like get to work with some like old family friends kind of thing, get that old family feel back together. But yeah, I don't know, like the thing with, I think, both of us is we're both very, I think Ray and I are both really like I don't know, I tend to like just pour too much, maybe a little too much of myself into things I'm working on, but I can't really do it any other way. And so like I think that's what, whenever we work together, it's like just very like 150% and giving it our full thought, and I feel like I've, at some level I feel like I expect that of people I work with, but everybody who was on this was like really giving it their all, and it was awesome.
I just wanna correct something that I said. I thought Frodo was the guy who played Rudy for a second. I was not trying to say that I am Elijah Wood here. I'm trying to say that I was
Sam.
Yeah.
You can be Frodo. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, there's 4 of them, 2 of which get
Yeah.
sort of go off on their own journey and come back at the end. So we could all be.
Well,
Oh yeah,
I
Sam.
appreciate that, but I just wanted to clear the air that I don't think I'm that hot. Okay. So,
Was it, well, Sam is great. Everyone, I think Sam's a very underrated character, because, without him, like, who would have like carried Frodo up like the mountain, and like,
absolutely.
yeah.
But who's in more memes,
That is true. Yeah.
I do like the Sam Raimi Bruce Campbell. I've never heard that one brought up before, but it's cool. I don't know. I fucking hope to keep making shit with my friends, man. Like,
Yeah.
We get to all then break off and go on our own little journeys and our own little projects, but like it feels really cool to like find the times when we get to come back together and do it again with like our peers. Because I think in a lot of other capacities, at least for me, I work with people I tend to like look to as like a superior or something like that, someone I can like learn from. Not to say I don't learn from my friends, but like there's something about working with like peers who you've known for a long time that feels like we're all growing together. I really enjoy that part of it.
Yeah. That's like, I was just gonna say, it's like leveling up together in like the party,
For sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
You don't want to get into another party where you're getting carried and you're just like, I mean, which is cool. You're like, sweet, I'm leveling up. They're carrying me, but like, you know, but they got all these sweet items that I don't have.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that I'm, I find that it's, and this is new, right? I mean, even though Julian and I have created lots of things together, this is the first time we've made something that has had this much reach and this much critical attention as well. And I'm finding that I really enjoy this feeling of celebrating together. Yeah, so yeah, it's a cool new feeling that I want to continue to have.
Yeah. I will say too, like, I think the virtual Sundance has been kind of awesome because like so many people have been able to see Raspberry. Like, if we do it in Park City, it's like you get a theater of 150 people, 200 people, whatever, for like a night. They might show up more than one night. I can't even actually remember how often they show shorts in a in-person festival. But like, I mean, fuck, we can get people from anywhere in the country can watch it. Like that's pretty insane.
Yeah. Like the reach is like was went to like these levels that a lot of films, the fact that like I think like Judas and the Black Messiah was like trending like on Twitter for a while, like just the reach of like the festival and just like the online chatter was just like it was just really great just to see.
Yeah. I wonder if Raspberry was trending for like a hot like split second.
Just the fruit. Like everybody just loved the fruit for a moment. It was in season.
Yeah. We do have the downside is our film is a little hard to Google.
Oh, because the Raspberry.
The SEO is not like optimized. We didn't really.
Yeah.
You have to do like I think even right now, if you search Raspberry short film, a different film still pops up first, maybe.
Yeah, it does.
An imposter film.
Yeah,
some video on YouTube or something like that.
Got to get a coder to take down their video.
Yeah, I think right now you got to do like Sundance Raspberry, and even
Julian Doan.
Yeah, and even then, like that feature Strawberry Mansion still pops up first. It's like fuck. Yeah, censor that.
Half of our podcasts now are just complaining about how shitty SEO stuff is. So thank you for contributing to that because it is our biggest headache.
Yeah, just
we now know that in whatever budget we create for our next film, we have to work in a coder.
Yeah. Or we just schedule paid time for brainstorming sessions on titles, that really pay off, like innovative titles that are not easily reproduced. Or we go the band route where you like sub out, like maybe we did it Raspberry, but the A is a number 4. And like the E is a 3 and all this bullshit. That would have been weird if we had done that.
I would have dug it.
They're like, what's the connection to the digital world with this film? Is it like part of some Leet Speak stuff? Like, what's going on?
No, we just wanted it to be easily Googleable.
Yeah, like that band Churches that does it with a V instead of
yeah.
Easy. Of course, that's nothing else but the band.
Virtues.
For thought for a next project for you two. So on that note, as we wrap up, what is next for you two? What do you got going on? Anything you want to highlight that's going on right now too? Because I know it's also weird to ask because sometimes COVID does not make that immediate like next step happen right away. So
yeah.
I'm working on a TV show on AMC called Kevin Can Fuck Himself. That should be coming out sometime in the summer. Also in Top Gun Maverick, that should be coming out in the summer.
Is it still coming out in the summer, or is it I
don't know.
Did they hold the date?
They held the date. It's sometime in July, but this is their second time they've pushed this film, and a film like this is evergreen. It can really be released in 2023, and I think it'll still get a big draw. So Yeah, I think they want to wait for the optimal moment. I'm just assuming I know what Paramount and Skydance and everyone are thinking, but yeah, it's slated for July as of right now. So
Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off. Was there something else?
no, I think that's it.
I think Top Gun Maverick's a good, good growth.
Yeah, I'll be in a movie with Tom Cruise.
There you go.
What you got, Julian?
We're very excited for that, for the record.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. No, totally. I just watched Top Gun for the first time last year, by the way.
It holds up, man.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, I love that movie.
It holds up, but I think you do. I think there is a part of those kinds of movies that there's an extra special sauce that comes with having seen it at the time it was either released or as a younger person. Because I also like watched it on a plane to Australia, and like it wasn't like at home with anybody who like loved the movie. So I'm just sitting there with my headphones in, and I'm like kind of casually taking in this totally bonkers movie. Like that movie's pretty crazy. Like all that all the flight stuff. I mean, I think I'd wish I had watched it at home on like a big TV.
Oh, for sure. Did you guys hear that Carpenter was supposed to direct it at some point?
John Carpenter was supposed to direct the original Top Gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Turned it down.
Wow.
What would that have looked like?
But hey, no disrespect to the late great Tony Scott. That guy filmed movies like nobody's business. So
yeah, I can't imagine it any other way. It feels like it's just a Tony Scott. Like who else? I wouldn't imagine you would reach out to anybody else. He's the one and only person you call. Yeah, I'm working on. I'm assistant editing on HBO's new season of In Treatment. If you guys are familiar with that show. Uzo Aduba is on it, and Anthony Ramos, who I've been working on his episodes, and he is they're both stellar. But I didn't know who Anthony Ramos was before working on this show, and that guy is a powerhouse. I get like chills and tears watching just raw dailies. It's amazing.
No, that guy rules.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing, and then trying to obviously find. I've got some features I'm writing, so I'm hoping that, off of Sundance and hopefully some future festivals for Raspberry, that there's some pathways opening to get those made.
You're also in the Sundance lab.
I'm not in it, but I had a meeting with the Sundance like feature films lab director today, right before I got on here. So it was a really nice conversation. They explained to me kind of like how the labs work, and they were really, I asked her what it was about Raspberry that caused them to got them to reach out, and she was really sort of taken with like the kind of like juxtaposition of tone, like the comedy and then the the dramatic portion of it. So I think given that I do want to submit to them the feature that I am writing that Raspberry is pulled from, that kind of looks at all of the like awkwardness and absurdity of like going through death and like this sort of all of like the kind of like elevated drama that comes with like people trying to like stake claim and grieving someone who died.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I definitely think I will apply to that. I think it'd be a very like nurturing environment to try and get a feature further along.
Yeah, if you could pull off a whole feature with that tone and like with those themes and ideas, I would gladly watch that the moment it's available. I promise I'm not just blowing hot air. Like I really thought this was a fantastic short film. Congratulations to you both, sincerely. Gene, any final thoughts or questions for them before we let them go?
Yeah, I just had one quick question for you guys, because on the podcast we're trying to highlight representation and talk about like a lot of like cultural influences. Is there anything that you could say towards like representation in the film?
It's interesting because I think obviously Ray and I are like huge advocates for represent like increasing representation as like Asian American males. Like that's something that we'd certainly like to see in our respective fields. But I'm of the impression, for me personally, just in terms of my own interests, like I grew up in really like I'm informed by growing up in like really white dominant communities. So being Asian American is like, for me, it's a little bit more like muted, I guess, my experience. So like the stories I'm trying to tell, like being Asian American is certainly important and it's in there in Raspberry, but I also want to try to tell a story in a way that is a little broader than just the specific, Vietnamese American or whatever experience, something that can kind of like play on both levels. And I think we're seeing a lot more of that now, to be honest. I'm really like inspired by like all these new Asian American films that are like really taking the spot, and shows and stuff that are taking the spotlight, that like work in terms of telling our specific experience and also being something that like anybody can relate to.
Yeah, and I just like how Julian's experience growing up in a more white dominated culture, and my experience growing up in a more like Latino, Armenian, Korean culture of Glendale, California, I just how, there's so much in between all of that and around all of that. So I would just want to encourage every Asian artist in every field to just continue to tell whatever feels authentic to them, because we need every single shade of Asian, everything in between, and just to show that we aren't monoliths and we all have very specific upbringings, and there is no right or wrong way to do representation, as long as we're, as cheesy as it sounds, being true to ourselves and how we grew up, and not to really take on advocacy just to advocate, but to also just advocate through being. And I think that's a really good way to approach it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I will add real quick that like one thing though that I feel is very important is that we do portray like Asian American characters in non-stereotypical ways. Like I think that's something like we really like should be doing. I don't know, and I think we're already kind of getting past it, to be honest. I've seen so many like representations of Asians like in starting to become in leading roles and stuff that like are no longer like the funny sidekick or like the sort of meek sidekick or whatever. Like I feel like we're very quickly getting beyond that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Trying to make Asian American men sexually viable. That's a big
With every push-up I do, I know that I'm changing the face of Asian American men in the industry.
Yeah.
No, it's yeah, and there's different ways to show masculinity too, right? The most immediate thing is to show big muscles and tall strapping, but there's also, guys like Dustin Hoffman that were leading men whom I look up to greatly. There's John Cusack's out there, although it's just I just really want to encourage everybody in every facet to just explore the most raddest parts of themselves and not be afraid to put that out there, because there's so many ways to represent.
Yeah. And I just, for this film specifically, I appreciated the chance to be able to show this whole, like, Ray, Joseph Lee as a brother, Ji Hong, and like Alexis Ree and Harry Du Young, like to show all these Asian characters like as being like emotionally vulnerable characters, as not having to be either thing, right? Like totally masculine and like, sort of like free of weakness. Like I really appreciate the opportunity to just for like these characters to be totally vulnerable and like flawed at some level.
That's the ultimate strength, man. Vulnerability.
Yeah 100%. As an avid crier, I attest to that.
Raymond Lee, Julian Doan, thank you for coming on. It was great meeting you guys. It was great talking to you guys. Where can the people find you? Social media, or do you guys stray away from that? Julian, I know you have a Twitter for sure. Do you want to highlight that? Or
Yeah, I'm Hey It's Julian on Twitter, Instagram. I think my website, if you do heyitsjulian.com, you can find my website. Yeah, I'm all over, dude. I embrace social media, man. I do. Especially right now. I think it's
Yeah.
like the way to connect to people.
It's all we got right now.
It is all we got.
And I'm at RayMomomo on Instagram. So yeah, you can find the latest on that.
Are you ever gonna get on Twitter?
I was on Twitter, but I realized I'm not that good at Twitter. I don't know. It was just I already read news and I was getting a lot of it, and I didn't know how to stop myself. Like I was consuming so much that I'm like, something has to go, and I'm already so committed to Instagram, and Twitter was something fairly new for me, and I just felt so overwhelmed. So maybe one day I'll explore back into it, but yeah, I just don't need news that immediately right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say the people in entertainment who somehow managed to do this without having a social media presence, I'm a little baffled. And I admire at some level, but like, yeah, wow, like truly just living their own lives and still, still just making stuff.
Yeah. Like I don't know how. I'm trying to remember a director that doesn't have social media. Like, how do they do it?
I don't know. I enjoy the ability to communicate with like audiences through that way. I mean, we've already gotten like a lot of that,
Yeah.
So I can't imagine if I was like off the grid. I think I'd be missing out. We'd be missing out on a lot of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Is there any social media for the film that listeners could follow as well?
Yes, they could Raspberry Short Film at Raspberry Short Film on Instagram. Gotcha. And if you go to raspberryshortfilm.com, we have a website with a big old picture of Ray's face.
Nice.
That's Raspberry with a 3 as the E. It's just Raspberry.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll put the links down to everything in the YouTube and SoundCloud description below. I think you can actually access those on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, but I don't know. I'm sorry. I just link the stuff there. I don't focus on those too much.
Yeah.
Apologies.
You mean you don't know everything?
I'm just a man. I am not a god.
You're just one guy. You're just one guy, dude.
Oh, I thought we were being interviewed by God.
I do more of the social media stuff, so
that's on Gene. That's hands off for me.
Well, thank God you're here, Gene, because Diego's a mess.
It's been a year. That's what it's been. But again, thank you guys so much for coming on. And
thank you, Gene,
guys. As usual, where can people find you online?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Gene9892.
And of course, you could follow me at the Diego Crespo on Twitter. Check out the Waffle Press on Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Patreon, where we take movie recommendations for a certain tier. If you're not interested in hearing us talk about a specific movie, you can hear us talk about other stuff and extended movie retrospectives, Legend of Korra retrospective. We're getting ready for Godzilla versus Kong. Love them or hate those movies. We'll be talking about them all March, so buckle up for that. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. We have been professionally unprofessional. And that's the episode.